Shalom, Brak the Yahweh, Brak the Yahushai, Brak the Yahweh, Brak the Yahushai, Brak the Yahweh, Brak the Yahushai. I take all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops, great millstone that taught us this word. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect across the planet Earth, pushing this truth and sincerity and the truth. Came across this article. Trump issues a 10-day ultimatum to Russia, basically to end the Ukraine war. So he's threatening Russia with sanctions and tariffs and all that. But what really caught my eye was Russia's response. Basically, they were saying every threat is just one step closer to war with the U.S. So, everything's heating up, Everybody's hating America, hating the war, But it has this article's out of Russia Today, dated yesterday, July 29th. 2025 says Trump issues 10-day ultimatums. Russia, U.S. president has threatened to slap Moscow with additional sanctions if new deadline for settling Ukraine conflict is not met. Washington will oppose new sanctions against Moscow if it fails to reach a deal with Kiev to settle Ukraine conflict within 10 days. Trump announced his plans to reduce the time frame during a visit to the UK. The president said it would be 10 days from today, and then we're going to put on tariffs and stuff, he added. New sanctions are expected to include 100% tariffs on Russian imports. Trump has recently grown frustrated with what he described as the lack of progress and spoke about his disappointment with Russia while threatening the country with sanctions. Moscow responded by calling such actions counterproductive. No new sanctions would prevent Moscow from continuing to move along our independent, sovereign, and sustained path. The former Russian president said this week it was not up to Washington to dictate when Moscow and Kiev should negotiate. Any threat only marks a step towards war between Russia and the U.S., he warned. So, things are heating up, man. One step closer, but, it's all biblical prophecy. First scriptures of Zephaniah 1:14, the great day of the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is near, it hasted greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. The day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, the day of wasteness and desolation, the day of darkness and gloominess, the day of clouds and thick darkness. So the scriptures say, woe unto you who desire the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is darkness and not light, man. A day of the trumpet and alarm against fenced cities and against high towers. And I'll bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Yes, and so man, just let you know this time of Jacob's trouble, ultimately this destruction is for 2/3 of our people, man, because the law, statutes, and commandments was set up for the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because they have sinned against the Lord. That's why the Lord is bringing this. And destruction is also for the heathen as well. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. So the money, Jake worked his life off to save up money, or anybody really, to get rich in society. That's not going to be able to deliver them, man. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. So on America, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. Nuclear destruction, that's going to be the outcome of this World War III, man. The war between the U.S., war with the U.S., Russia's going to blast them with fire, as well as these European Union nations, and NATO nations, BRIC nations, everybody that has that nuclear capability is going to shoot fire, blast America with that nuclear destruction. So yeah, this is all prophecy because Russia is going to be a guard unto Iran. Recently, there's been articles that Iran is in talks with Russia and with China, to help rebuild their nuclear facilities or whatever. And Trump is making threats against them as well, saying that they're gonna, bomb Iran again if they continue to move closer to their nuclear ambitions, so to speak. But the scriptures say that Russia is going to be a guard unto them. So eventually, Russia is going to step up to that plate. So Ezekiel 38:2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. Yeah, Gog and Magog, that's the land of Russia today. Meshach, Tubal, these northern Asian countries, Armenia, what they're known as Armenia today. And say, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, Gog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, Gog and Magog, land of Russia. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses, horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Yeah, it says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. And we're seeing that now. That prophecy came to pass. Russia trying to bring back that old Soviet Union, trying to turn them back into that. And he said, new sanctions would not prevent Moscow from continuing to move along our independent, sovereign, and sustained path. And that's that sustained path, that path that they're on. It's turning them back to that Soviet Union. That's why they were taking over Ukraine, starting wars with Ukraine. That's why they tried to take over Crimea a few years back, starting wars with those nations, trying to bring them back into Russia. And that was putting hooks in their jaws and turning them back. We're seeing that now. He just says to move along our independent and sovereign sustained path. That's that path that he's talking about. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all with them with shield and helmet. Persia, that's Iran today. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Turkoma, North Quarters and all his bands, many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So it's going to come time when Russia is going to be a guard to Iran and these little Middle Eastern nations, man. That's that war, one step toward war between Russia and U.S. So that's that prophecy's on the way, man. So hasten the day for this, but time of Jacob's trouble, hour of temptation, all those, few remaining prophecies as well. But yeah, this is 2 Peter 3:10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heaven shall pass away with a great noise, and the element shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also, and the works therein, shall be burned up. And the elements melt with fervent heat. That's the outcome of that nuclear destruction, just like we just read in Zephaniah. And the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. That's that nuclear destruction, the outcome of this World War III, man. And that day is going to come as a thief in the night to most people, man. But not to the hopeful elect, the ones that are watching, watching out for these prophecies, So the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. It's going to sneak up on most people, man. 2/3 of our people in these other nations, Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? Yeah, that should be the only thing that we speak about, man. The main topic of conversation, these prophecies, man. This is how we know that the Lord is on our way, is on his way. We don't know the time and date. No man knows the time and date. Yahweh Shai doesn't even know the time and the exact date. But we know we're close by these prophecies. There was an earthquake out there next to Russia at 8.5, and 8, really strong one, man. It triggered a tsunami warning and all that, man. to earthquakes in diverse places, man. So all these prophecies, this is how we know that we're close, man. So this should be the topic, the main topic of conversation. Looking forward and hasting unto the coming of the day of the Lord, man. Yeah, we look forward to it, man. Because the day of the Lord is, the beginning of Yahweh Shai's kingdom on the planet Earth. And that's when we'll be free. Russia was talking about an independent, sovereign state path. That's our independent, sovereign state path. When Yahweh Shai's return, that's when we're gonna be a sovereign nation again. And the Lord comes back and establishes His kingdom. That's when Israel's going to be established. The true Israelites, man, they'll be put back in the rightful position. That's our independent, sovereign, and sustained path. So it's the resurrection, the restoring of Israel, man, of our people, man. So that's why we want to look forward and hasten unto the day of the coming of the day of the Most High, where the heavens shall be on fire. Where the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So that's why we look forward and hasting unto the day, man, because that's our, independent, sovereign, and sustained path. It's Yahweh Shai, man. But yeah, I just want to bring out this article one step closer, to the day of the Lord, man. With that, shalom.